Okay, so this is an ed puzzle that is going to go in the grade book as a quiz. So make sure, let me go back to the first page. Make sure you are taking your time, that you are going slow, that you are rewatching it, because you will get whatever score you get. So if you get 10 out of 10, you get 10 out of 10 quiz points. But if you really rush through it, you're going to get, you get your score. So if you get 4 out of 10, you're going to get 4 out of 10 quiz points. Now, the good news is I'm giving you the answers before I ask you the questions. So if you go slow, you rewatch, and you're patient, this should be a quiz you can get 10 out of 10 on. So what am I assessing you on? I want to see who can summarize a short story using all of the plot elements. So that's the learning target. That's what the most important thing I want to see if you can do is that. So at this point, I want you to stop. This is really important. Have you listened to the story, The Very Hungry Caterpillar? If you have not, you're not listening to directions. You need to stop your ed puzzle and you need to go watch that first, because there are going to be some quiz questions on that story that have to do with summary writing. So stop here at this point. Go watch The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Okay, the second thing, as I just said, this is a graded quiz. You can rewatch any part of this before answering the question. Take your time. You cannot retake it. You only get one time through. So make your first time your best shot. And if you're not sure, rewatch it and go look and listen for the answer. Okay, so talking about summary terms. These are the 3 most important rules you need to remember for summary writing. And I will say that overall in Dragon Dragon, you did a really good job of summary writing because they followed these rules. Good summary is short. It communicates the main points of the text, the most important pieces. It has no personal opinions. Okay, and it uses your own words. So I'm going to ask a question here in just a minute. What does a summary have? And you should know those answers. Then I'm going to also ask, what of these things should be included in a summary of Dragon Dragon? Now, you can rewatch this part if you need to. So what are the 3 things a summary should have? If you don't know, go back and hit the rewatch button, look at it again before answering. Okay, now, to help you write a summary and follow those rules, this graphic organizer will generally be able to fill any time that you might have the need to write a summary. If you can remember this for a narrative, it'll work. Somebody wanted, but so then. Who is the main character and what do they want? Okay, so I'm going to do an example right now. Who's the main character in Finding Nemo? It's actually kind of Marlin, believe it or not. It's kind of Nemo. So this depends, the answer to this question kind of depends on how you want to answer it. So who's the main character? If I say Marlin, what does Marlin want? He wants to, hint, the movie's called Finding Nemo. What does he want? He wants to find Nemo. Okay, now somebody, who's the main character? Could be Nemo. Okay, what does Nemo want? Nemo really wants 2 things. He wants to be trusted, right, and have the respect of his dad to let him go kind of grow up. Okay, and then of course he wants to get back home. He wants to go back to his father. So this all kind of depends, right? Because we have 2 journeys in Finding Nemo. What's the problem? Well, Nemo faces all the challenges he faces in the fish tank, and Marlin faces all the challenges he faces in the ocean. So how they try to solve the problem, that's the climax, right? These 2 come together in this scene, or almost come together in the scene in the dentist's office when Darla shows up, and there's all the chaos, and the Nemo goes down the drain, and Marlin thinks he died because he sees him in the bag, right? That's the so. And then, how did it end up? What happened? Well, then, right, Marlin and Nemo find each other. There's a whole lot more to it than that. Nemo and Marlin learn how to kind of trust each other, right? Nemo goes back to the reef, and we see a total character change, and there's a whole bunch of analysis there. But somebody wanted, but so then always works if you fill in those blanks correctly for a narrative summary. Okay, think about your favorite story. Okay, and just try to remember this. Somebody wanted, but so then. Now, here's a different version of that same organizer. Okay, someone wanted, but so then. Now, this is good for a basic summary. There is one thing here that's missing. If you want to add on to it and make your summary excellent, ultra premium, there's one other literary element that you'd want to talk about. So let's just stop for a second and think, what is the other thing that we say you can include? Technically, there's two, I guess. So the first one would be how'd you start, and then how do you end? So what is a tag? A tag at the beginning. That would be a really good quiz question. Tag, title, author, genre, right? And then what comes at the end? Did you come up with the answer? A theme, right? So it's the message about life that's revealed to the reader. So in Finding Nemo, one of the messages about life is that you can't be scared to let your kids go, right? That you have to learn to appreciate what you have is another theme, I think, in the movie. But a theme is simply a lesson about life that you watch it and that you can apply to yourself. Now, themes are not usually specific, and we're going to get more into this year. But if I watch Finding Nemo, I can't say, well, gosh, if I was ever a fish and I had a kid who was also a fish, I would definitely not go into a submarine with sharks, right? That is not something I can apply to my life. But when I watch a story and I see somebody who is brave and they overcome a great obstacle, I can look at them and go, gosh, well, man, they faced all those challenges and they overcame it. Well, I can face challenges and overcome them also. And so I can apply that to my life, right? Bravery can help you overcome difficult situations. A couple hints to maintain for summary writing: make sure you have the same verb tense. Okay, make sure you're using past tense. Stick with ed, right? It's happened in the past. Write in third person because it's not you, it's not your story. You're telling about something else. Okay, he went there, she did this, her friend said. Okay, they went with him. Okay, and then a good summary is like 60 to 80 words. It's as short as possible. It might go a little bit over that. It might be a little bit shorter than that, but that's a good limit to put on yourself. So those are components of a summary. So here's an example. How can you apply that? You've seen this before. You've seen the Pixar short For the Birds. And so I'm just going to read this and you'll see that, yeah, that actually covers the whole thing. In the Pixar short For the Birds, here's my title, author, genre, an awkward large bird, right? So I got a character trait, a word to describe, and who, the large bird, we don't know names, tries to get the attention of some small birds that have landed on a power line. Setting: when they begin mocking and mimicking him, the large bird flies over to them and wants to sit and be accepted part of their group, but the small birds do not like this because he looks different and is not one of them, right? Someone wanted, but so the small birds begin pecking at the feet of the large bird until his last toe slips and he falls off the power line. Climax, right? Remember that slingshot scene. Then all the small birds are catapulted off the power line and lose all of their feathers in the process. While the large bird begins to laugh at them, they hide behind him in embarrassment. Resolution: in the end, the small birds realize that just because someone looks different than them, it doesn't give them the right to treat them cruelly, right? And so a good way to look at theme is who is rewarded or who's punished for their actions. The little birds are unkind and treat the big bird poorly. And then it doesn't work out because they all lose their feathers and they get laughed at. So a lesson there is don't be unkind to people. Okay. From the large bird's perspective, the lesson is, right, what goes around comes around, because he wasn't treated, or she, it doesn't really say, wasn't treated nicely, wasn't treated appropriately, but they didn't respond back and be mean or anything like that. They just kind of laughed and took it easy. And all those antagonists, which is a fancy word for bad guys, right? The bad birds, they were punished. And the large bird just got to laugh it off, right? And he gets to laugh and he learns that lesson. So now we're going to take and apply those to the very hungry caterpillar. So here are some good questions that I'm going to include as part of this assessment. So when we say tag, what does tag mean? That's your first question. What's tag? Okay, second question. What is the tag of this book? What's the title? What's the author? What's the genre? Okay, third question. Who's the main character? Someone. Who is the main character? Fourth question. What did the main character want? Okay, fifth question. In this case, when we look at this one, we know what the main character wants. What is the setting? What's the setting? Okay, and think about what two parts make up a setting. Okay, next question. Which of the following statements is a good summary of the very hungry caterpillar? Okay, also, another question. Which of the following statements is not a key idea, is not necessary to include in a summary? Which one does not fit? What doesn't belong in a summary? Okay, what's a theme or a lesson of the very hungry caterpillar? Which one of these is a possible life lesson that we could apply to our own lives? Okay, and the last question, most importantly, what are the three things that you should always remember when you're writing a summary? What three things should you always remember? All right, and that's it. That's our last little review of summary writing. I hope you took your time, rewatched it, and did your best. Okay, thanks for showing what you know and hanging with it. And that's it for summary writing.